Imagine if every single time you went to sleep you had no idea if you were even going to wake up or you went to bed. Or what if you had no idea if you stayed in bed the whole night? Now let's take it to the extreme, and what if you had no idea that the entire night you were actually hurting the person sleeping in the bed next to you? Well, most people in this room, I assume, understand what a dream is and the fact that you dream. But a lot of people don't know when during the night that happens or essentially how. Last semester I took a general psychology class and was introduced to the stages of sleep and GABA, which is a neurotransmitter that prevents REM sleep behavior disorder. So we'll discuss the 5 stages of sleep in general, REM and GABA, and their role in REM sleep behavior disorder. Let's start by talking about the 5 stages of sleep. The 5 stages of sleep are NREM stage 1, NREM stage 2, NREM stage 3 and 4 often combined, and the REM sleep stage. As stated in the web article, the 4 stages of sleep. So in the first stage, this is where your body starts to drift off and essentially prepare for sleep. It marks the fine line between when you're awake and when you're asleep. Your brain produces alpha and theta waves during this stage. Alpha waves are very common actually in people who are meditating or people who are extremely relaxed, as stated in the web article, Stages of Sleep. This is also where you have your falling sensation, where your muscles contract and they wake you up in the middle of the night. You think you're falling. Towards the end of this is when your body or your brain starts to produce theta waves. This is essentially the moment when you fall asleep. It's between 5 and 10 minutes long, which the most common is 7. The second stage is in REM stage 2, and it's where vital regulation begins to take place. This is where your heart rate slows down, your body temperature lowers, and your body kind of starts to forget about the things that aren't quite as important so we can focus on what you're trying to do, sleep, regenerate your body. Your brain goes into a rhythmic wave activity state known as sleep spindles during this time. In the 3rd and 4th stages of NREM, they're often combined because this is where your body works together to produce your deep sleep. In the 3rd stage, this is where your delta waves emerge. That's really all that happens. The 4th stage is where they hang out for about 30 minutes, and a lot of people, if you sleepwalk, I personally don't, but it's common, this is where it takes place. And it's because your body is extremely relaxed in this stage, but your body isn't paralyzed yet. You still have every function that you do when you're awake. Final stage is REM. This is where your dreaming takes place. Your sleep cycle, sleeping, occurs in cycles. And so at each stage, after you hit REM, which is your last stage, you recycle back to stage 1. Each time, each cycle becomes shorter and REM becomes closer and closer together. It also becomes longer each time. Now that the 5 stages are evident, let's go into depth about what REM is and how GABA plays a role in this stage. REM stands for rapid eye movement. So, hence the name, rapid eye movement. What moves? Your eyes. Everything else in your body is paralyzed. Because each REM stage becomes longer and longer, this is why you remember the dreams that you have right before you wake up. You don't really remember the sleep or the dreams that you have at 10 o'clock at night. You remember the ones you have at 5 o'clock in the morning. This stage is also responsible for consolidating your memories, as stated in the Eunice Kennedy Striver Institute of Child Health and Human Development web article. This is important because without this stage, you would not be able to move any of your memories from your short-term to your long-term memory. So essentially sitting in this class right now wouldn't matter because you wouldn't have any idea I'm saying right now, tomorrow. During this stage, every muscle in your body besides your eyes is paralyzed. This is produced by a neurotransmitter called GABA. As stated in the web article, how muscles are paralyzed during sleep. This also kind of helps explain sleep paralysis. I personally never experienced it, but because GABA is what paralyzes your body, if you were to wake up at any point of the night during this REM stage and GABA was, say, accidentally active still, it hasn't quite shut off, this is the sensation of not being able to move while you're awake. As stated in the web article, brain chemicals that cause sleep paralysis discovered. Without GABA, you would act out every single dream that you have. Every emotion that you think of, you would do. Now, let's look at what REM sleep behavior disorder is. It's an abnormality in your brain function during the REM stage only. GABA is not released, and so essentially you act out every little thought that you have. An experiment to prove that GABA was the precursor to this disorder was actually done on mice, and mice they found that had a deficiency in GABA experienced insane amounts of motor behaviors during REM and a bunch of muscle twitches in the NREM stages, as stated in Brooks and Peever's web article. This can be easily identified by punching, kicking, screaming, walking around the house, everything. You have no idea. You're doing it in your dream, you're doing it in person, as stated in the REM sleep behavior disorder web article. While this only occurs in 0.5% of the population, 90% of that 0.5% is males. 40% of this has a direct correlation to Parkinson's disease as well. It's treated with clonazepam, which is a benzodiazepine, and all it can really do for you is lessen the violence of your actions. As you can see, REM sleep behavior disorder is a serious condition. Although it may seem minor because it only affects one small stage of the 5 that you have while you sleep, it not only affects you individually, but because of that GABA deficit, you're also hurting the other people around you. You can be hurting your family members or loved ones. And so I guarantee that most people in this room had never heard of this, like I hadn't. Or thought right when I was about to start talking, I was like, oh, okay, sleepwalking, whatever. But knowing the symptoms can actually help you to identify that if you see it in the future. It can help you identify family members, new people that you meet, just by the simple symptoms. I never really thought about how during the day I have a thought and I can put it into action, but at night, every single thing that I think about goes without initiation. And after learning about this, I'm glad that I don't wake up punching a wall every single day.